Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video, we're going to be talking about spark plugs for the 5th gen 4Runner. I'm going to take you through the process of changing these spark plugs yourself so you can save yourself some serious coin. We're also going to talk about the spark plugs themselves and whether or not there is a difference between the expensive Toyota branded spark plugs and the Denso spark plugs. Stay tuned to find out. All right, so the spark plugs on the 5th gen 4Runner will last you quite a while if they are the OEM iridium tip spark plugs. Toyota recommends that you change the spark plugs in your 5th gen 4Runner every 120,000 miles. Personally, I'm changing mine before then just to be on the safe side. There are a lot of different spark plugs on the market though, so do make sure you get a good high quality spark plug. Personally, I'm just going with OEM, but are they really the OEM plugs or are they just rebranded plugs? I found out that Toyota gave a part number to a certain spark plug, which is the Denso SK16HR11 plug, but Toyota's rebranded it in their own boxes. So if you do go to the dealership, expect to pay a markup for this plug. These are a very high quality spark plug though, and they will make sure that your vehicle runs for a very long time without having to change them. In this video, I'm going to take you through the whole process of changing them, but first, let's look at the spark plugs and compare the Toyota ones to the Denso ones. Just wanted to quickly mention we are now on Instagram at t4r.garage. Follow the page to keep up to date on new videos that are coming out and also to win free t-shirts that I had made recently. I'll be drawing random people January 1st, February 1st, and March 1st for these t-shirts. All right, so here we have the Denso spark plug and we have the one that we picked up from the Toyota dealership here in the fancy Toyota box. Let's open them both up and just compare them here. So as you can see, they both say Denso SK16HR11 on them. This one says the same thing, iridium on the back, so iridium on the back. So they are identical spark plugs, the same part number. The difference is if you go to the Toyota dealership, they may charge you a bit more. They charged me a bit more. I did manage to find a good deal on the genuine SK16HR11, and they do come in the Toyota box. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, if you are buying these for the earlier generation 5th gens, there is a slight difference. The 2010 to 2013 4Runners take an SK20HR11 spark plug. Basically, it's a little bit of a cooler spark plug. The 16 is the heat range of the spark plug. It just means that the tip of the spark plug will heat up a bit more in the engine, which allows it to clean itself better. It allows it to self-clean and prevent carbon from building up as much. So Toyota did a small tweak there. I did notice that the gap on all of the spark plugs were also the same. If you do want to check your gap, you can use something like the gapper tool or these feeler gauges. The electrode gap for these spark plugs is meant to be 1.0 to 1.1 millimeters or 0.039 to 0.043 inches. When I use the feelers here, most of the spark plugs came in at about 0.040 of an inch. When I use the gapper tool seemed to read just a little bit lower. So if you do pick this up, expect it to read a little bit below 0.040, but it is accurate. So I'll leave links in the description to where you can find all of this stuff and a very good deal on these spark plugs. All right, so here's all of the tools to do the job. This is our spark plug socket. This is 5/8, fits these spark plugs perfectly. They actually just clip right in and they don't fall out. So great for putting the spark plug in and for taking it out. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can find one of these. We have a 3/8 ratchet here with an extension. We have a 10mm socket, a 12mm socket. We have a 1/2-inch drive. So when you're working on the driver's side, you're gonna wanna have 2 extensions, and you'll see in the video why. Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your spark plug in, clip this on, and then you're gonna put your ratchet on top of it. And by doing this order, it'll make it easier just to get into that tight spot. You'll see in the video what I'm talking about. We have a torque wrench here. This is 1/2-inch drive, a flathead screwdriver, and a 10mm wrench here. This is also for the driver's side just because it is pretty tight. These are all the tools you'll need to do the job. All right, so here we are under the hood of our 4Runner. What we're gonna do is remove this cover. So what we do is just lift it up and pull it towards you and it'll just pop out. Now what we wanna do is remove this whole air intake. Our spark plugs are just down here, so we need to get under this. All right, so to free this whole thing, we need to undo our wiring. So this is our mass airflow sensor. Just push down. This can stick on there pretty good, so just wiggle it back and forth while pushing down on the pin. It'll just pop out. We have another little spot here we need to get a screwdriver into, which is a flathead. What we do here is we just pop this screwdriver straight down, like that. And that will just free it. We will have another clip here. So we just need to undo that. So a good way to do this is just push on one side of this clip from the bottom. There we go. And we're gonna do the same thing for this clip right here on this part of the air box. So just push on the bottom. All right, so we got this clip undone. We've got this clip undone here. We've unplugged the mass airflow sensor. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this hose here, and that just pops out. Put it off to the side. This one here, just push this little pin together, move it up. We're gonna slide that one off. Now we'll take a 10 millimeter here, and we'll just undo this bolt. We'll just put this off to the side. And then we have another 10 millimeter here that we'll undo. Now what we'll do is we'll pop these 3 tabs off of our air cleaning assembly. And we can lift this up now. Pull it towards yourself. There we go. Just give it a wiggle and it will just come free. Good time to inspect your air filter. Mine looks pretty good. Okay, so now we can remove this if we want. I'm just gonna remove it. It'll be easier to get to some of the bolts down here. These are 12 millimeter bolts. There's 2 inside the air cleaner and there's 1 on the outside of it. All right, so before we can remove the air box, we just have 1 more connector here. Great, so now we got this free. Great, and then what we'll do is we'll just remove this. So we're gonna pull it out this way. All right, so our spark plug's under this air injection pump here. So in order to get this out of the way, we need to undo this tubing. This connects to our exhaust here. So we have 2 nuts down here, 2 bolts here. They are 10 millimeter, so we'll just do that now. So you'll have 2 metal gaskets, 1 on the top here and 1 on the bottom. If they're in good shape, you can just reuse them. All right, so let's undo this harness here. A little clip, just push it in, wiggle it, pull it off. All right, so we now have 3 12 millimeter nuts on each end here. So we'll just undo those. Pop an extension on your socket. You'll have 1 on the other side here. You can't really see on the camera. Great, now we can lift this up and just move this off to the side. All right, so we have our 3 coils here. Underneath the coils are the spark plugs. So let's just undo these clips. All right, so with the harness out of the way there, each one of these coils has a 10 millimeter bolt. We'll just undo those now. Just pull them directly out. All right, so now with our 5/8 spark plug removing socket, we'll just go in. All right, there we go. All right, so we'll pop our new spark plug on here. We'll just slide it down. We're gonna torque these down to 13 foot-pounds of torque. There we go. All right, so all of our spark plugs are in, so we can start the reassembly process here now. All right, so pop your 3 coil packs in, put those 3 10 millimeter bolts in to secure them, reattach the wiring harness to those coil packs, then you can put your air pump on. That's 3 12 millimeter nuts, reattach those, put the harness into that air pump. Now you can reattach that tubing to your exhaust, 2 10 millimeter nuts and 2 10 millimeter bolts, then put your air box back on. Those 3 12 millimeter bolts will go in. Then you can pop your air filter in, then we'll put the whole housing on there. Make sure you clip those 3 clips on the outside to secure it. Make sure you tighten up all those air lines, your PCV valve hose and the other hose. Make sure you reattach at the throttle body. Make sure you secure the bolt down and also reattach the wiring harness and the map sensor, and now you were done. All right, so here we are on the driver's side. Now it's a bit tighter in here. We have a lot more lines kind of in our way, but we don't have the big air box to remove. So it's kind of easy in that regard. So what we'll first do is undo this line here. So just pinch it, pull it, just give it a little twist. It'll come right off. We're gonna get some of these other hoses out of the way. So we'll use a flathead, little tab, pop this up. And we're gonna do the same thing over here. Now we can just move that. It's more flexible so we can work around it. All right, so I have a 10 millimeter on a long extension here. So remember on the passenger side, we had to remove that tube that went down to our exhaust. So it's the same thing on this side. This side is pretty much identical to the other side. So what I do is just loosen them up and then go down with your hand and actually remove them, because you don't want to lose these nuts. You could drop them quite easily. There's one, and there's two. Now we'll take a little 10mm wrench here. So we have those 2 bolts. So there's 1 and 2. Then we can move this out of the way. All right, now just like the other side, we'll have those 3 nuts to remove to get the secondary air pump off, 12mm. All right, we'll just pop it out of this little clip here, this tubing. Make sure you undo the harness here, and then it should just slide right out of the way. All right, so it's kind of difficult to see, but down here we have our 3 coil packs. We got our 3rd one, so we got 1, 2, and 3, and it's the same concept. 10mm bolts, just undo those. These will slide out, and then we can get in there and put our new spark plugs in. So I'm just gonna pop off all the connectors. You may need to remove this bracket here. These are 12mm bolts. So I did remove that bracket. It's 2 12mm bolts. Once that was out of the way, I had better access to all the coils, especially the one in the back there. The one in the back is the hardest to reach. There's that overhanging lip at the top. Once they're out, remove the spark plugs, and you'll see here with the extensions how I removed that 3rd spark plug. If I tried to insert the whole extension as one, it wouldn't work. So I had to basically insert the lower piece of the extension, slide it down. Once that was in, I could put the top extension piece on, connect that, and then I could sneak in the ratchet and connect it to that extension. Once that was attached, I could then remove that spark plug. This was the same process for tightening up with the torque wrench in order to get the torque wrench in there properly and to tighten it down. All right, so we got our spark plugs all in here. They're all torqued down to 13 foot-pounds of torque. Now we'll go ahead, put our coils back on, put our air pump back on, put all our connectors on, make sure we clip in all of our hoses, and then that is it. The job is complete. So basically just the reverse of what we just did, and then we are done the job. All right, guys, so that driver's side's a little more tricky. You know, you're gonna have trouble kind of getting in there. It's a little tighter, but it definitely isn't too hard to do. This job should take you anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. And even though it does look difficult, it's actually quite simple. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. I hope to come up with a lot more videos, and I always appreciate your guys' support. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye now.